Hello, everybody, and welcome. As we celebrate the International Day Against Child Labor, BIE is launching a special interview series to shed light on issues that affect millions of children worldwide. Child labor is more than just loss of education or opportunities, it is also an identity theft. When children are forced into labor, they are often denied the chance to discover who they are, unable to develop talent, build their confidence, or pursue their dreams. In BIE, our goal is to raise awareness, inspire actions, and promote solutions to this predicament we are faced with, as we believe that every child has the right to learn, grow, and become who they are meant to be in life, irrespective of their background or socio-economic status of their family. Join us as we amplify voices, share insights, and work together towards a future where every child is able to thrive.
Child labor stops being training and starts affecting a child's future when it deprives the child of basic rights and opportunities needed for healthy development. For instance, a child who is denied education, proper clothing, emotional support, and is subjected to emotional abuse while being forced to hawk goods and perform all household chores every day is no longer being trained. Such responsibilities can interfere with the child's schooling, self-esteem, physical health, and emotional well-being. Over time, the child may struggle academically, develop emotional and psychological problems, and have fewer opportunities in adulthood. In this case, the work and treatments are shaping the child's future negatively rather than preparing the child for it.
As leaders, it's time for us to move from being passive observers to becoming active defenders of children, because child exploitation thrives when a community decides to be silent. And as a matter of fact, in many cases, silence means acceptance. Showing red flags to child exploitation entails taking a firm stand against every form of child exploitation, reporting concerns to appropriate authorities, creating good and enabling environments where children can thrive, and also advocating for stronger policies that will protect these children.
Okay, if I were a referee in my neighborhood today, I would show the red card to child hawking, site working, and house help, because it goes against the fundamental human rights of every child. No child has any business working on the site, on a construction site, or any site for that matter. No child should be a house help because it's underage labor. And when children are sent out as house helps to other families, they are often exploited. Their innocence is stripped away from them. Most of them encounter abuse in different, from sexual abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, and every kind of abuse. They are exposed, in fact, to everything and anything, because these people are not their parents, so they actually don't care about them. Now, I'm against hawking because a child could come to harm. There are accidents every day. A vehicle could knock a child down, someone could rob the child could be sexually assaulted as well, if they are in spite of their gender, but especially the female children. And of course, they can also be exploited or abused by people in their environment. So I will show the red card to every form of child abuse.
In such situation, the appropriate first step to take depends on the situation and your safety. But generally, the first step to take is observe the situation, observe, and also get basic information from the child that has to do with his or her age, her location, the type of work, if there's any physical abuse or abuse of any kind, the danger that is involved, and also the exploitation. Those are the things you get from the child. Then the next thing is that report the concern to the relevant authorities that are in charge of protecting children or child protection services. all right, rather than confronting the employers physically or aggressively, because it will not end well.
Is child labor more than just hard work? Why is it identity theft?
Yeah, for me, I believe every child should have responsibilities at home. But when the responsibilities are so extreme that they barely think about life, about future, then that is child labor. You see children in construction sites, all they do is to just work to earn a living, just survival. Now in this kind of environment, they get exposed to behaviors that could lead them into becoming joining gangsters and maybe somehow hacking or cyber crimes. And at the end of the day, they end up not becoming what God has designed them to be.
One of the experiences that will be taken from the child, or one of the things that will be stolen from the child, is that particular level of experience. Because at every level of our growth, there are experiences that we're expected to experience as human beings, which contribute to our mental development, social development, and our well-being. So if at a particular level of our upbringing, something interrupts it, or not just interrupting it, but something is imputed, which is not supposed to be imputed, it affects the well-being of that child. So when a child is working at a site at during school hours, it have interrupted that experience that the child is supposed to have at that particular level, and it have also imputed another experience that the child ought not to have, because having such experience will give that child another understanding that life ought to be like this. Why he or she is supposed to be in the classroom with all their age mates, enjoying and having that experience, the experience of passing and failing, the experience of learning things at that particular age, not an experience of carrying loads, working with adults, thinking of how to work and earn money. That shouldn't be it.
If I see a child working, whereas the child ought to be in school, I will meet up with that child. I will tell the child, take me to your parents. Then I will educate the parents on the importance of why that child ought to be in school at that particular time instead of working. So if those parents actually refuse to listen, then I would blow the whistle on them. That is, I will report them to governmental organization or NGOs. You asked. I would say child labor adversely affects leadership potential in children, because scripture says, train up a child in the way you should go. Train up a child. That training of children is very, very essential. If you want to see a leader come out of a child, then you have to train that child to be that leader. Leaders are made, leaders are not born, they are made. So saddling a child with responsibility at tender age is very wrong. Responsibilities are for adults alone. Responsibilities are not for children. Children are meant to be trained. They are meant to be educated. How families, communities, and schools can help the child to rediscover the child's identity. I would say the primary way is firstly, is definitely through education. And another way is through guidance and mentorship. Yes. Mentorship is not only for adults. Mentorship is also for children. Yes, I would say guidance, proper guidance. There's a way you mentor a child. You begin to change the child's mindset. Children's brain are actually very feeble compared to adults. Children are easily breakable. They are like clay. They are yet to be formed. They are like clay that is yet to be molded. So they can still be formed into any vessel you want to make them to be. They are still children compared to adults that are already made. So I would say when you properly guide a child, you can still form them to be vessel unto honor. Let me say it like that. So proper guidance, proper mentorship, and proper education is still the way out for a child to rediscover his or her identity.
Hi, who am I here with today?
LJ Ajokache.
Hi, LJ. I just want to ask you a question. In the context of the third world country, for example, Nigeria, when you see a 10-year-old child hawking or working on a construction site during school hours, what part of your future do you think is being stolen?
I think everything's being stolen in that case, because attending school, getting an education is the foundation for a whole wide range of opportunities. For them to miss out on that means so many options are being taken away from them. So when it comes down to what part of their future is being stolen, I think it's a little bit of everything.
I have one more question for you because I think you answer so well. So we often call child labor training When does it stop being training and start being a test for a child's future?
I think worldwide we have things like chores and the likes. So, obviously, there is a line where it's okay for a child to be doing work and everything. But I think the line between where it becomes a thief of the child's future is when it firstly starts affecting the child's everyday life and future prospects. When we classify anything, whether it's mental health, disabilities, it's when it starts affecting your everyday life or your capability to do things. So if it's stopping the child from living out their childhood, stopping the child from going to school, all those sorts of things, then it's becoming a thief of the child's future. I also believe that if it is to an excessive extent, so something that is putting unnecessary strain on the child's body, or it is not, I would say, necessary, I would suppose. Obviously, there are families that would send their children out to work in order to bring in extra income, but I do believe that's child labor for the fact of it's not necessarily a household task. It's you sending them out to do something that they normally shouldn't do.
Thank you so much, LJ. I really appreciate your time. Thank you. Thanks for watching.